What is up, YouTube? I am back with something new this time. I have a variety of Naruto concept crossovers that haven't transitioned into full stories as of yet. These are a mixture of stories told using the worlds of RWBW, Genshin Impact, Honkai, Star Rail, Has-Been Hotel, Hell of a Boss, and Yu-Gi-Oh! I wanted to tell these stories to see if they would have an audience. But remember, these concepts are not finished and are only a fragmented idea. If I were to start the genuine story, I would use what is presented to build upon the actual story. This particular concept is a Naruto and Honkai Star Rail crossover called Thrill of the Hunt. This idea is based on what would have happened if Naruto had been flung into the Honkai universe after his final battle against Sasuke and found himself on the same planet from which Feixiao had escaped slavery. So if you enjoy this concept, please comment below to show support, and as always, like and subscribe. Now let's begin this concept story. Cheers, more drink. Gnarling her lips, Saran quickly disguised her disgust as she grabbed the obnoxious and foul-smelling liquor. She carried it to their table, forcing a meek smile. She couldn't show them what she genuinely thought of them. She preferred not to end up in Borisin's stomachs tonight. Move faster, runt! Saran gnashed her teeth as she felt one of the Borisins smack her on the rear while she sloshed and poured their drinks for them. These monsters made her sick to her stomach. They had no morals, no cares. They took what they wanted and ate whenever they felt like it. She was lucky she had lasted this long. Many of her friends had already been devoured. Saran bit her tongue to save face, pouring their drink as fast as she could. She shivered as she felt the clawed hand pass over and quickly finished, discreetly moving out of the boorish grip of the Borisin, forcing a smile as she did. She could arouse any suspicion by showing defiance. She had to survive, no matter the cost. It was the only way. Luck had it, he was too drunk to care. All they cared for was their gluttonous appetite to wet their whistles. Good. Tonight might be her chance. The quarter she slept in was cramped and uncomfortable, cold, miserable. Many of her fellow Foxians rested within this tiny fixture the Borisin graciously allowed them to have. Each exit was posted with guards. They made checks approximately with particular scrutiny, sometimes taking someone with them. The lucky ones never returned. The scars of those came back and made Saran shiver. She despised the thought that being a meal was preferable. She wanted to live. She wanted to leave this place, return home. Saran shook her head. No, there had to be a way to slip out unnoticed. For how meticulous the Borisin were in their searches, they were lazy on patrol and guard duty, relying purely on their superior sense of smell, hearing, and vision to compensate for their apathy, believing they were beneath them and could never escape their clutches. Tonight was the night. It had to be. She couldn't endure this hell any longer. Saran? Nergal? Saran glanced to see that her last friend had crawled beside her, looking frightened. She gently patted her trembling partner's shoulder to calm him. Tonight, I smell it. A chance for freedom. Saran, no. He shook his head fearfully. I don't want to end up like our friends. I know, Saran whispered, keeping her hand on Nergal's shoulder, comforting her friend while suppressing the urge to flinch and wither into her bed. They strung their friends to the gate to demonstrate their power and show how hopeless it was to escape. Mustering her courage, Saran's teal eyes shone brilliantly as she gazed at the lone window, allowed in their quarters, staring at the night sky, seeing stars sparkle in the distance. Tonight is different. I can feel it. We have a Shan. The door to their quarters slammed open. 3 Borisin entered without a care, with one lagging behind, grunting and growling as he dragged a fellow Foxian through the dirt onto their ratty stone floor. Every Foxian in their cramped living space cowered at the sight. Saran growled in her throat, her silvery white hair falling over her teal eyes, watching them drag their fellow Foxian inside. He was battered and shredded. He was bleeding profusely from the vacancy where his right arm should be. What had they done to him? Were they giving them a personal display after what happened with her friends? She wanted nothing more than to show them otherwise, but she knew she couldn't. Tossing the Foxian in the space they had created with their entrance, the Borisin grunted. His piercing gaze bored through all the Foxian cowering before their presence, freezing them to their spot. Tend to the whelp. Those who assist are exempt from their daily chores until he is fit enough to grace Lord Hulei's presence. This pathetic beast has caught his interest. Saran's eyes flickered. This was it. This was her chance. I will. Saran did not hesitate to move to the battered Foxian side. At least one of you shows some spine. The Borisin snarled, staring directly towards Saran before throwing down a small bag. Supplies. Ensure he lives, or you will be Lord Hulei's next meal. Saran tensed but nodded. The words of a Borisin were never a threat. They were a guarantee of what would happen. With a growl, the Borisin turned and left their quarters without another incident. Saran finally breathed, gazing down and scrutinizing the wounded Foxian they had dragged before them. Why did this Foxian garner Hulei's attention? What made him special? Were his bruises healing and his wounds regenerating? Saran, don't worry, Nirgol. Saran picked up and opened the bag tossed beside her. She snatched an article of cloth from within, her mind racing with the images of her fellow Foxians assisting their peers after similar incidents. She tied it snugly around the bicep of his right arm to form a tourniquet. I told you I felt something different tonight. This is our chance. This sensation was not pleasant. No, it was utter agony. The pain was excruciating. It was like a knife stabbing him through every inch of his body. It was worse when he tried to move. Could he even move? He was so exhausted he wasn't sure. Stay still. A calm voice with an edge resonated over him. A feminine voice, one he didn't recognize. I know you're in pain. I'm sorry. We don't have anything to help with that. Hey, I said not to move. Ugh, he grunted, attempting to push himself up. But as he did, he felt a strange sensation. His left hand had brushed against the floor, following his command. But where was his right hand? What the hell, he muttered, rolling to his right before a sharp pain recoiled through his right shoulder and caused him to spasm uncontrollably for a moment. His eyes snapped open, and his gaze narrowed at the remnants of his right arm. Fuck, he hissed. What the hell happened? Calm down, the same feminine voice spoke. He felt her hands rest on his chest, and he blurrily turned to see a young woman, roughly his age, with silvery white hair, wearing ragged cloth, kneeling over him. He frowned at her appearance. It was cold, and that was all she was wearing? Wherever this place was, he knew it had to be the slums. Where was he anyway? Who was she? What was he doing that left him in this condition? Who was he? As if hearing the thoughts in his head, she tried to remain calm and composed despite the circumstances. The Borisin brought you here an hour ago. I've been tending to your wounds ever since. That's lovely, he grunted, wincing as the tingles of sharp pain and burning of his muscles aching in agony pulsed and surged through his body as he laid back down. They happened to say what happened to me? No, she simply responded. Damn it, he growled at the lack of information. He furrowed his brow, trying to recollect his memories. Instead, all he could envision was a void, a cold darkness of nothingness. Frustration mounted. Why couldn't he remember anything? Ma, who are you anyway? He muttered, attempting to learn one of the questions lingering in his mind. Saran, the young woman replied, dosing a piece of cloth in a bowl of water beside her and gently applying it to his forehead. He refrained from hissing at the cold instrument as the sensation quickly faded. A moment of silence followed outside his occasional grunts. And whimpers? His gaze sharpened. Quickly scanning what he could as he lay down, he scowled at the sight around him. Many individuals were dressed similarly to the girl tending to him. All were sleeping, pretending to sleep, or cowering in their raggedy bedding. Where am I? What is this place? This is our living quarters. This is where the Borisin allow us to stay when they aren't serving their every need and desire. The girl responded darkly. This response caused his eyes to narrow. He gnashed his teeth and growled. Somehow, despite the void that was his memory, he felt his injuries were somehow connected in some way. Or they could be completely unrelated. There was no way to be sure. Can I ask you something? She spoke in a hushed whisper. Are you a soldier from the Jianzhou? A cloud knight? Can't say. I can't remember anything, he muttered, following her example. He would follow her lead if she didn't want others to hear. Not that it mattered when it was as deathly quiet in here as it was. Everyone could hear them regardless. You don't remember anything? She looked generally surprised upon hearing his admission. Nope, can't even remember my name. He shook his head, growling as he furrowed his brow. Nothing. His memory was like an empty pit. There wasn't a damn thing. Huh? Voices? Were those voices? Naruto. Hey, Naruto! Naruto, get back here! Causing trouble again, Naruto? Good job, Naruto. You're an idiot, Naruto. Why won't you leave me alone, Naruto? Developing a frown, he scowled. Who did all these voices belong to? Why couldn't he put a face to a name? Or at least imagine the person who was talking? What was wrong with him? Naruto, Naruto growled. My name is Naruto. And that's all I can remember. Many years later. Sleeping on the job again, General? Eh? Naruto's eyes snapped open, alertly jumping in his chair. His gut slammed into the front of the desk, shifting it forward by several inches. A singing laugh caught his irritation, and his cerulean eyes locked on an elegant figure with fair skin and silvery white hair. Naruto scowled as she sat on his desk, her back facing him, but turning to look down upon him with a sultry grin. Ah, I love catching you unaware. You shouldn't let down your guard around me and daydream like you were, General. Even if it was about how ravishing last night was, I might take the opportunity to take advantage of you in front of all your subordinates. Feixiao, Naruto growled, his gaze squinting at the mirthful Foxian sitting upon his desk. However, his disposition shifted, and a sly grin graced his features. I'm not sure who would enjoy that more if you did, but I think I would rather earn that opportunity. It's far more satisfying. The hunt always is, Feixiao expressed her satisfaction. However, she exhaled as she slid off the desk, her expression stoically shifting. I came here with unfortunate news. We just received an order from the rest of Arbiter Generals to investigate the Stellaron incident upon the Luofu. The other generals seem restless due to this incident and the involvement of the Stellaron hunters. Really now? Naruto raised an eyebrow before scoffing. Given the circumstances, I felt Jing Yuan handled the situation admirably. Ah, I suppose this is nothing new. Whenever I do something the other generals don't like, they send a commission to watch me. You do have a tendency to make radical decisions that happen to work out in your favor. Feixiao slyly smirked, causing Naruto to glower at her witheringly. She effortlessly put his shade behind her as she stepped away from the desk. Luck beholds us. Jing Yuan has given us a reason to attend by holding a wardens. A show of strength? Makes sense. Don't want to appear weak despite what happened. Naruto nodded, understanding her fellow general's thought process. His gaze rapidly sharpened as he furrowed his brow, his long ears folding. The man is cunning. I have a feeling that there is something else to this. I wonder, was that the only other order we received? It was the only order they asked of you, General. Feixiao exhaled, turning and sharply gazing at Naruto. The 10 Lords' Commission requested that I inspect the shackling prison. So that's what they're worried about. Naruto snarled and cursed. If only I weren't in a weakened state back then. Feixiao, I am amending those orders. If they are worried about Hule, then we're bringing Jinglu regardless of how they feel about it.